Hello.
Hello.
Hello all.
Hello. Welcome to Beside the Rookery, fireside chat with myself, Andy Law, and Dave Wright. Dave, welcome to the stream. Dave's a veteran of con organising and also, like myself, a veteran of the Fetty's Row staff canteen, a fellow survivor. Yes, take a strong stomach. So, welcome to our midweek stream. Today, we're going to be talking to Dave about AlbaCon, the online only con that he is organising. We're going to be talking a little bit about a product that we are making to support AlbaCon.
How exciting!
And most exciting of all, perhaps, although Dave may disagree.
No, not most exciting.
We will be drawing the competition that Andy Law has been running to give away my copy, actually. I don't know why I'm saying it's Andy Law's competition. My copy of the Warhammer 4th edition starter set.
So true. So somebody is taking Lindsay's set. Also, I'm currently organising the Excel spreadsheet for drawing that in the corner. So if I disappear like this,
that's why.
It's because I'm trying to fix the sheet to make sure it gives me a nice randomization between the however many people have got their vote across both Discord and Twitter. So apologize in advance for the occasional that will be happening over in the corner.
And just to check, the competition closed at 8:30. Is that right? So
yes, it's now shut. Because if it was still going, I would still be fiddling, and that would be awful. Nobody needs that. So
we will get into chatting about the con then. So Dave, hello. You want to tell us a bit about yourself and a bit about AlbaCon and the charity that you're supporting this year?
And I will slide over here and do a little bit of selling.
Actually, look at the screen that you're doing it on as well, Andy, rather than doing this. I've been a role player since I was 13, which was 35 years ago. Well, the beard and the hairline suggest otherwise. About 2015, I decided that Scotland needed a convention, a bigger convention than what we already had. And then in 2018, we had Tabletop Scotland, which is a whole other topic, but that went very well. And then in 2019, we did Tabletop Scotland again, and that had over 1,500 unique people, which I think put it in the top 5 or 6 conventions in the UK, which is kind of cool. And then obviously 2020 onwards, in-person cons really weren't a thing. So in May 2020, Mark, who's one of the team at AlbaCon, nudged me and said, well, why don't you do something online? And more precisely, why don't you do something for charity? And I was like, right, okay, I've got all this free time now. I'm not organising Tabletop Scotland, so I need to fill it with something. So why not do that? So it was very much let's just try it and see if it worked. And last year we had, and I have a prepared notes here, we had 40 GMs from 6 different countries, which in itself, and by that I mean the UK is one country, ran 70 games for almost 180 people.
Nice!
And those 180 people came from 9 different countries. And it was just like, right, okay, so we created this thing out of nothing. We promoted it a lot. We had fantastic support from a lot of the different companies, and we had lots of people from the States and that as well. And it was just kind of like, right, okay, so we can do this. That's cool. And we raised over £3,000 for a kids' cancer charity, which was
Can I interrupt with a question?
Yeah.
Can I interrupt with a question? Yeah. So, many different countries, but were they all in a similar part of the world, or were they spread all around, which meant you had some pretty crazy Australians dialing in at midnight
we did have
just to start their games?
And after we chatted a while back, we actually had one from New Zealand as well. But it was we deliberately set out to have because obviously it's online, so people can do it whenever they like. We deliberately had a 1 AM to 5 AM slot from a UK perspective. And we had a number of games in that slot. And it was like, one of those games was run by people in the UK, which was a bit odd in itself, but never mind. But we had people from the States running games. We had people from France, Spain, the Netherlands running games, and we had people from Australia and New Zealand attending games. It was just a bit like, right, okay, that's a bit weird, but very good.
So we've got a question that's popped up in the chat. So I think a few people were already planning to attend. So Righty Stream Stuff has said, still undecided if I will run a game at AlbaCon or not. Obviously, we recommend that you do.
Obviously, you should.
And the Rangdo of Arg newly learned how to pronounce their name on Saturday
I
night.
can't believe I didn't recognize the name for what it was. I'm just going to take a small aside. I watched that show so many times as a kid. It was my go-to show.
Yes.
And I can't believe I didn't read it for
Clearly,
what it actually was.
I'm too
The
young.
Rangdu Farg.
And now that, as you say, now that I know that's what it is, I go, oh yeah, that's what that is.
Yeah, I hung my head in shame. Anyway, back to the question. I
Rangdo of
apologize.
Arg. When Andy Law has got something else to do, he's very disruptive. Are slots open to run as well as play?
So right now we have, as I go to my notes again, I think it's 86 games on the schedule.
Wow.
I'll scroll down. No, 83 games on the schedule. And we've postponed new submissions on the basis that the con is, 10 days away. That doesn't mean that if people want to submit, they can't. They would use the contact us button on the website, which is www.albaton.co.uk, and we can have that conversation then. We're at that kind of stage of we now need to make sure the games that are on the schedule get players. It's that kind of balancing act of we could add more. But we want to make sure what's there actually gets players in the first place, rather than diluting it potentially.
So, in terms of signing on to become a player, what is the process? What do people do?
So the process is not the same as we had last year, because that was painful. The process this year is all of the events are listed on the website under the event schedule section. At the bottom of each entry, there is a link which takes you to an equivalent page in Eventbrite, and then from there you book your ticket. There is a gap, I think, in the market for convention management software. Warhorn is one, but it doesn't let you charge per event, which for a charity event is a bit difficult. And there's also tabletop events, but they only work if you have an American bank account, and therefore you can accept dollars through Stripe. I have neither of those things, so we can't use that. So we came up with a different way of doing it, and it works. It's functional. It's and ultimately it enables us to raise money for charity.
And here's a question from Dave, pre-submitted. Yep. I wonder who that is. Dave asks, Dave, didn't there used to be an AlbaCon in Glasgow?
So when we came up with the name, as you do with these things, you Google names and you try and work out, has anybody used this? Is there anybody used this that I don't want to be associated with, and all that kind of stuff. And yes, there used to be an AlbaCon with a lowercase c, sci-fi convention in Glasgow, which I think became Satellite X after a while. And a convention in Albany in New York State took the name of that, and it also became AlbaCon, a sci-fi fandom writer symposium type thing. So I reached out to both of them and was like, are you okay if we use this name? And both of them were. So it was kind of like, that's fine, that's great. The AlbaCon that was in Glasgow is no longer running, so there's no confusion there. Plus we have a capital C just to distinguish it. And all of our handles on Twitter, etc., have RPG at the end, again, just to distinguish it. So yes, there used to be one. It was one of these things of, what would we have done if they had said no? I don't know. But they didn't. So we stuck with that name.
And what do you think, if anyone else is thinking of starting up a virtual con, what would your key piece of advice to them be?
Do not underestimate how much effort it is. It's what when I told the rest of the Tabletop Scotland team I was doing this, so we're like, oh, that'll be easy compared to an in-person con, and the event itself, the weekend itself, is significantly easier than an in-person con, but the effort to get it up and running and promoting it and all that kind of thing is almost as much. So there's, I would encourage people to do it. There is an element of There are a lot of online cons, so you are competing with things. There is one almost every weekend, which is again a part of the challenge. So it's finding a date that works for the community you're targeting. We don't really have a community we're targeting. We're just randomly asking people to come and play and run games.
And what was it? Can you tell us a bit about the charity that you're supporting?
Yeah, so last year we supported It's Good to Give, who is, I say, a kids' cancer charity. This year we've gone with Penumbra for a couple of different reasons. One, so the pandemic has had obviously a lot of effect on people's health in general, but it's had a particular effect on mental health of people. And I know personally that role-playing online has enabled me to continue enjoying my hobby. And I also know that through other kind of groups, so there's a group in the States called the Badana Group, who run an event called Save versus Fear. And that's they are a therapeutic role-playing community of psychologists and psychiatrists who use role-playing within their therapies. But they run a con, and I was very intrigued by what they were doing. And there's another group called Jasper's Game Day, which was started by someone called Fenway Jones. And it was started because one of Fenway's friends committed suicide. So it was very much right, okay, amongst the team, there are reasons to want to support a mental health charity as well. And it was kind of like, well, that's easy. It fits. It's a good thing that we're doing this. Penumbra was because I already had a connection to them through work. I'd run board game events at work for charity that were very much about, let's just raise a little bit of money for Penumbra. So they were, once I'd explained what it was, and removed all the jargon from it for them.
Just a slight interruption here. We
certainly.
just had a 1 minute drop on Twitch. So be aware that whatever you said over the course of the last minute, everyone on Twitch will be going,
They're back now.
But they're back now. So they're all back going, yay! So just warning you.
Penumbra mental health charity, it's a good thing. There you go.
Excellent. Thank you very much for the summary.
We had a discussion on Inside the Rookery, not last week, but the week before, with one of our guests about how their mental health had really dipped and had an impact on their work after their father had died. But actually, it's quite a personal thing for me as someone who has a mental health illness and manages that to varying degrees of success, and also supports other people who manage mental health illnesses as well. So it was when you asked us to sponsor it, I was quite keen to sponsor it because of that reason. It's quite a personal topic for me and means quite a lot. So, and obviously it's a charity in Scotland supporting young people and adults, where 3/5 of the Rookery are based.
And I think we're purposely supporting Scottish charities because the entire team are in Scotland. The convention is not a Scottish con, although it has Alba in its name and things like that. But it was very much we choose a Scottish charity because then that makes sense to us and we can speak to them directly. And it was, as I say, an easy option. I've not played a board game since March last year. I have over 120 board games, right? It's one of these things because I can't meet up with the people I usually play with.
Yeah.
And I've role played a lot more thanks to the benefit of online conventions and just online the accessibility of that. So it was very much right. I know my mental health would have suffered more if I hadn't had access to that. So again, it kind of compounded itself to the point of, well, we would be daft almost not to recognize that. And playing role-playing games is good for your health, mentally at least, if not physically sitting in a chair. But yes.
That's something we've talked about as well before, how the very first role-playing game most of us did was actually not, like, was it Redbox D&D, was it, or whatever. It was actually in the playground with other kids pretending to be like Luke Skywalker or, whoever, Robin Hood, I don't know, picking random things that I used to play in the playground. But role-playing, when people talk to you about role-playing and are like, oh, what is that? Actually, everyone knows what it is because everybody did it when they were a kid.
Yeah, and it
with rules.
Yeah, it is less pretend with rules, and that's always how I've kind of described it. And those rules can be as fluid or structured as the game desires ultimately, or indeed the player's desire. And you're right, it is something that we've always done. And playing, whether it's through role playing or anything, is good for your brain anyway. It keeps your brain motivated and triggering all sorts of things.
Totally.
Someone.
So I have a. I have
Randy,
a question, but never mind.
Okay. Over the pandemic, I made contact with old school friends to roleplay with who I'd not talked to in over 20 years. They're old Wifrip One group. That's sweet, actually.
Nice. I do like that.
Do we want to talk about?
Oh, I've got a question yet. Just to make, I just want to confirm something, because it's quite possible this video could be viewed by people who know nothing about your con, obviously.
Okay.
And that being the case, I think you should make it very nice and clear. It is okay for people to sign up if they're, say, in America, if they're down in Chile, if they happen to be in South Africa or over in Pakistan. You're happy taking players from anywhere around the world. I trust, though, that means that you've got an English only rule, or do you?
So we don't have an English only rule. In fact, one game last year was a guy from Brazil running a game of, was it Mage? It was Mage the Ascension, and it was very much he gave the players the option as to whether to play in English or Portuguese, essentially.
Nice.
But the vast majority of the games are in English. But yes, absolutely anybody can sign up, and games are bookable right up to the starting point, which makes the GMs a little bit twitchy, but that's fine. It's part of the deal ultimately, because part of the rationale for that was, well, the GMs have done their prep already. In the main, players just need to turn up and are given pre-gens at conventions. It's and a little bit of summary of rules. There's no reason to close it early. There is one game that we're closing early, Steel Nacht, which absolutely requires lines and veils and things like that, and a bit of a session zero before you play it. That's one of our 1 a.m. games. It's one of our 1 a.m. games on this Sunday morning. And that's closing early purely so that the GM and the players can get together and have those detailed conversations.
That's nice.
And that's something we wanted to enable ultimately, because the breadth of what we've got, we have a lot of D&D because you have a lot of D&D, but we have a lot of other things as well.
So if you're looking at percentages, would you say about half of it's D&D, 3/4, most?
So I will turn to a different tab on my Excel spreadsheet, Andy.
To be exact.
No, so out of all of the seats that we have, just below half is D&D. That's more to put the opportunity out there. Last year, I think it was about 30% of games that ran had D&D in it. But that's ultimately down to what people submit.
As you should be.
Righty Stream Stuff is eyeing up the Liminal game right now.
Yes, Paul Mitchell's game. Yeah.
Spreadsheets to the rescue. Smiling John said, same here. I got into RPG after 20 years hiatus, and playing online was a blessing, as my group is scattered all over Europe nowadays. Yeah, I can imagine. Our RPG group is scattered all over the world now.
Because one of the games I play in it, which is an unusual thing for me, is with people I met at UK Games Expo 5 years ago, and we've kind of kept in touch through Twitter. And it was last year, one of them put his hand up and said, "I'll run a game for us." And I was like, "Okay, cool." So we play roughly once a month, and that's just nice to be able to speak to them. Never mind playing the game. It's nice to be able to have a regular touch point with them.
Actually, let me add a little bit to that. One of the things that we've been trying to do in our server, in particular, is try to help people get in contact with other people, particularly in this difficult time. We'd like to think that we're out of it, but we're not yet. And we're building a bot on our server, Corva, and Corva has got a host of tools built into it where you can record what sort of game you'd like to play, regardless of system, whether you like to hack and slash or whether you want to be mostly role playing rather than role with an OLE playing. And the bot handles all of that, and then you can just quickly go, who matches me and my type? And it hopefully scrolls it all out, which is a tool that we're hoping to put together, because it's not just about the Rookery and anything that we happen to be making or anything similar. It's all about helping gamers game. And if we're in a position where we can hopefully reach out to people who might not normally have contacted each other, because you tend to find that unless you go to one of the bigger sites, let's say rpg.net or something similar, that everybody sits in their islands. So you get your D&D islands, you get your Warhammer islands, you get all your little indie islands, and they all go out to their various islands, often a separate Discord channel or perhaps a Facebook group or something, and they'll find people who are possibly going to play something similar, but they never really get to broaden their horizons or say, hey, I fancy kicking back and play a completely different game this week, because they're all there to speak about that one game. So we're hoping, possibly, that with the Corva bot, we can attach people together who might not normally reach each other, because all of the products that we're doing with the Rookery aren't actually attached to a game. They're not Rookery game. They're D&D or Warhammer or any fantasy game you happen to jump on, they can be used for. So we're hoping we can bridge some gaps there, because I agree with you completely. Mental health in particular has been helped a lot for a lot of people with just reaching out and contacting through things like roleplay. And you can just escape into a realm of fantasy, whatever realm you happen to prefer, whether that's running around with a chainmail bikini, or hacking someone to pieces, or being very dirty and grim and covered in poo, as you do a little bit of gong farming, depending upon what you enjoy doing as a role player. If you fancy being Conan, or if you fancy being someone completely different, you can be, rather than just thinking about, oh my God, it's awful. And it's one of the things I think roleplay really helps us with. Wow.
Says they feel privileged. They play 3 to 4 games a week. I'm too time poor to play 3 to 4 games a week.
I wish I could play 3 to 4 games a week just now. Yeah, I wish I felt privileged in that way too.
Righty Stream Stuff says they've got a ton of games they want to play and run, and my regular group think they're a bit unusual, so let's do this.
I think that's one of the fun bits.
It is one of the things, because this is again a slightly different subject, but I manage 2 Facebook groups. One's D&D Scotland, one's RPG Scotland, and I also manage 2 Discords. One's called D&D Scotland, one's called RPG Scotland. And I created, or myself and some of the AlbaCon team came to the decision to create the RPG Scotland one as much for us to have an opportunity to play other games. So I own a variety of different games, and since the start of this year I've run almost all of them at least once, on the basis of I wanted to just have find other players. And Discord's good for that. It's also a bit rubbish for that, because you need to know where to go, but that's like any social media, isn't it? So
it can be a bit tough that way, because
games are run by Fliptop, who
there you go. Lucky Sharon.
As one of our mods and supports me on stream stuff.
Actually, on that, if you've got a general community, it might be actually us pinging over a link over to your communities, and possibly you could ping back to us, because it's. I agree. One of the issues with Discord, it forms islands that are often quite discrete from each other, and it's sometimes difficult to find the other ones. Discord provides some tools, but they're not that great. So maybe we could open a channel for, hey, here's our servers, go over there and.
Yeah, just other communities that people may find
totally. I think that's probably a good idea. So I'll sort that out at some point over the course of the next couple of days in R1, so that you can have somewhere to ping and other people can too.
Cool.
Matt Colville had a recent video about how to persuade D&D players to try something new, with the example of Whip 3.
Whip 3, that's brave.
And I watched that, and he was doing it purely from the point of view of what is now the Genesis system that FFG/Edge Studios have. It was purely because he loved the narrative aspect of those dice. He didn't have anything else out from that box. It was just the dice. And I enjoy running Edge of the Empire, the FFG Star Wars game, because the narrative dice just get you to think about things a little bit differently and stop you from, particularly if you're playing it online, where you sometimes just default to look at a grid. If there's a grid there, you'll look at it type thing. And it's kind of like, right, okay, no, these dice help you try it in a different way. They prompt you to ask questions.
This is how much I pay attention to rules and dice. Is that the system we were playing, Star Wars?
Yes, it is. Well done. That's exactly the game we were playing. And
the one with the weird symbols.
Yeah, we went over to that one.
I just
we were doing the Star Wars thing, as inevitably we do.
All about my character.
Yeah, you totally can. I mean, I even drew the character, and we got
amazing.
little scrolls for the beginning of our campaign every time, and we didn't start at episode 1. We started at episode 9. So the very first episode was episode 9 for an 8 episode season, and then we're going to go back to episode 1 to catch up and have a nice little before. Good time.
Yes.
But yeah, we used that system too because it was there and it was easy. And I agree completely. The storytelling aspects that those dice can offer, even though in truth they are just numbers under a different die.
They are. Yeah.
I tell you what I liked about that system was having all my my ability trees, because I do love the Final Fantasy games and how you get to go through the ability trees. So being able to do that, and like I would color them in as I got them.
I mean, to nail down Final Fantasy, maybe they should have had outfits. You know, I'm wearing my dancing outfit today to open up and unlock my dancing skills. Dance up. Maybe not.
Yeah, I think
Bit Guardians.
Marco was looking for a dice mechanic as far from D20. Yeah, that makes sense.
And I think it does make sense.
Because it is a very different thing. And as you say, Andy, it is just numbers, but it does make you think a little bit, or it encourages you to think a little bit. You can still absolutely play it mechanically and say, well, I've got an extra boost dice for this or whatever it is, but it encourages you just to think a little bit differently, which is great.
Andy's always thinking about systems. On our long walks, I get like, and this, and what do you think of this mechanic and that mechanic, which is hilarious because then I proceed to forget everything he ever tells me. And then we come to play it and I'm like, can you explain the rules again? What do I need to roll?
I particularly enjoyed those Star Wars because it did take most of what was successful with the 3rd edition of Warhammer and it nailed it into place for almost a traditional role-playing game. Where the Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay 3 just felt very
board gamey.
And so many cards, but not all the cards you needed, and that disparity was a killer.
It felt very constrained. It had all of these interesting options, but it was like you were just on the basic tutorial level in a computer game, and you were like, yeah, but when do we get to like have everything that I want for everything that I could possibly have? Caledonia Man says they were stupidly hanging out in the YouTube chat all on their own.
By yourself.
See, I don't get that because I host the stream, so I get all the comments coming through as though they're all on one channel.
We get them as well. We get a nice little stream of all the comments sitting on our screen at our side too, which is really nice because we can see everything as they're coming in, which is lovely. And occasionally someone drops in from Facebook, or occasionally someone drops in from YouTube. Hello, the 2 Facebook and 3 YouTubers out there, and that's super nice because we get to see all of the chat.
And Caledonia Man is Mark from the AlbaCon team. So
he's that was one of your team because he was on YouTube, Mark Palmer, and I thought like that's really formal. Hello, Mark Palmer.
Particularly formal for our chats, anyway.
Anyway, shall we talk about what flip tops everywhere? Shall we talk about what we are doing for the con?
Actually, why don't we go a bit broader and say what's everybody doing for the con? So you get an idea of what you'll get if you come in as a player, and then we'll discuss our one specifically. Because obviously we're one part of a greater whole. Your con is sponsored by, I think, a significant number of very interesting people. And if you haven't checked the link, put the link up again, Lindsay. If you haven't checked the link, go check the link. Go check who all the sponsors are, because pretty much almost everyone who reached out to went, here, yeah, cool, have a thing. And I think that's just beautiful because this is for charity. And if you're a role player out there and you want to do a bit of something for charity, go sign up, go do your thing. I've done my go sign up thing.
And it was, I learned when Duncan and I, from the Tabletop Scotland team, we learned very early just to ask, right? It was very much one of those things of be shameless about it, because that's why we had HABA as our family zone at Tabletop Scotland 2018, and it was just like they're one of the biggest manufacturers of kids games, and it was like, whoa. But the number of companies that we have supporting us this year is, I think, 12 more than we had last year, and there are a lot of people in there. I'm happy just to rhyme all their names off if you want, but they are all there.
Because they have gone to the effort of doing something for charity. I don't think it's worthwhile. I mean, we're not we're not a Rookery only people. We're all one big happy family. So yeah.
So we have all rolled up Phil Badowski and her husband Paul, who make lovely all rolled up
Dice trays.
dice trays, but they also make dice containers for your pens and everything like that. It's all very useful. So they're supporting us. They supported us last year as well. We have Angry Hamster Publishing, which is a small Netherlands-based indie RPG group. They make some really interesting, thought-provoking RPGs, and they're giving us stuff as well. And you've got Britannia Game Designs, Stephen from there. They write medieval RPGs. They also have been Chivalry and Sorcery, which has been around for a long time, but they now own that and have kept it up to date. Cubicle 7, they're supporting us. Everybody knows who they are. They are very much focused on their Warhammer licenses just now, and are planning a second edition of the Doctor Who role-playing game. Dungeon Fog are one of the many kind of map makers out there. It's entirely web-based, and they have won multiple Ennies for what they do. It's a very good tool, and some of the maps that we're using for our Adventurers League D&D were designed by Mark on Dungeon Fog, so that all the GMs had similar maps to use. Then we've got D&D Beyond, who have given us a ridiculous amount of product. They've given us almost $700 worth of product to give away, and we have a raffle which is linkable through the page on the website, where people can win some of the more valuable things. So one of them is a complete source book. So every single source book for D&D 5th edition on D&D Beyond is about $400 and odd. And they've given us one of those bundles to give away. And so we've tied that into a raffle rather than just giving it away, so that we can generate more income, as it were, for the charity. Dungeons at a Time is Brian, who produced initially a fanzine using the 5e system, but he's since gone on to produce games like Scurry, which is about being mice and running around scurrying and things like that. It's all very cool. Evil Hat, who are the people behind Fate primarily, but also Blaze in the Dark, Aegon, Monster of the Week, and all sorts, and Thirsty Sword Lesbians, and all sorts of other things. They've also been big proponents of safety tools, and we mandate that X card is used as a minimum in our games as well, which I haven't touched on, but we do. So it's something we're very conscious of. They also support brick and mortar stores by having the bits and mortar service, so that if game publishers have their game in physical form, game stores can give the PDF, which is kind of cool. Foundry are one of the online virtual tabletops. They're one of the newer ones, very modern technology they're using for theirs. It's all hosted locally rather than a browser. They're giving us stuff. All these people are giving us stuff. I need to stop saying that. Free League, who are known for, Alien is probably one of their more visible licenses, but Tales from the Loop, Forbidden Lands, and they're also working on the new One Ring RPG as well, which is
and
looking
have just announced Blade Runner as well.
Yes, they have. Which
I'm not.
That's all really, well, yeah, I'm trying to work that out. But yes, Goodman Games, who last year we had a lot of Dungeon Crawl Classics, which is one of their games, on our schedule, and we had Brendan LaSalle from Goodman Games running games. They're back this year. Brendan's running games again for us, as are a number of other people from that community, which is fantastic. Handiwork Games, John Hodgson, who you know, so they have their Beowulf RPG and have just funded A-State 2nd edition, and also make great card games like Forest Dragon and Bang and Twang. Bang and Twang, which when John demoed it to me, he beat me, and I pointed out to him that in a demo you're not supposed to beat the person who's going to buy it. You're supposed to let them win. That's the point. Anyway, Incarnate are another map maker. They're actually my map maker of choice, and they've given us licenses to give away. Cobalt Press, who primarily produce 5e product. The game that I play in is run by Rich Green, who writes for Cobalt Press, and through Rich I managed to get in touch with Wolfgang, and they've given us some goodies to give away. Legend Keeper is what keeps me sane for one of my D&D campaigns, because it is essentially a big wiki with maps and all that integrated into it. And Braden from there has been really good. It's it is how I try and catalogue the homebrew campaign I've got. I don't think I do it very well, but it works. The tool's really, really good. Midnight Tower are an Oxford-based, no, was it Oxford? I think it's Oxford based RPG studio. They write primarily 5e content. They've got a Kickstarter going on just now for Dark Elf, a Drow campaign setting, which is very cool. Modiphius Entertainment, they, after Cthulhu, Conan, John Carter from Mars, Star Trek, and obviously Dune, which is their new one. They're giving us stuff, and Lloyd from Modiphius has been really good to work with. Necrotic Gnome, they write the old school essentials, so one of the retro clones of D&D basic set, and they've gifted us things to give away as well. Nightfall, again, who will be familiar to those in this, obviously producers of things like Slay Industries, and recently funded the Terminator RPG as well. Onyx Path Publishing, known probably in the main for when they had the World of Darkness licenses, but they also produce Scarred Lands, which is a 5e campaign, and Matthew Dawkins is running a game of They Came From Classified, which is one of their new games that hasn't been released yet. Matthew's running a game for that at the con, and Adam from Snyder's Returns running a game of They Came From Beneath the Sea, which is kind of 1950s B movies. Pelgrane Press, Kat Tobin and Becky from there have been great support as well. They've given us stuff, and Gumshoe is actually my default go-to system for anything that I want that isn't D&D. So that's why I've got a lot of it on my shelves. They're really good people. Purple Sorcerer Games, so they create content for Dungeon Crawl Classics. I don't know if anybody has played DCC. You tend to play peasants, and you play 4 of them because the likelihood is they're all going to die. So they have a fantastic character generation system, which you click a button that generates 4 peasants for you, which is really useful. Artel Sorian, obviously known for Cyberpunk, but they also do Castle Falkenstein and one of the games from my youth, Teenagers from Outer Space, which I can't actually remember anything about, but I do remember owning it. And they, I remember it being
exactly the same place.
It's somewhere. It was somewhere in my Connect collection. I can't remember if I ever ran it or not. They also produced the Witcher RPG, and I got to meet Mike at Gen Con in 2018, which is great. Then there's some group called Rookery. What do they do?
They're a collection of cacoying fools. They just sit on the internet chatting all day about stuff. We can discuss those
circle back.
roguish individuals at the end.
We've got Round, Rook, and Deckard, who are possibly most known for Honey Heist, the one-page RPG about bears and honey, but recently won Ennies for, was it Heart or Spire? I think it was Heart. And they make beautiful looking books for one thing, but it's very thought-provoking content. Then we've got Kelsey, who runs the Arcane Library, another 5e publisher. They're based in, is it Canada? I think so. But Kelsey's been really supportive and is giving away content for us. Yes, you could argue it is a way of the true RPG. Yes, it's a fair comment. Yes. Then, yes, that's true. They do have some of the best formats now as you can get. One of them is being run at the con.
Marvelous.
The Crafting Jones, which is Sally Jones, much like All Rolled Up, make accessories for gaming, so dice sets, and also Sally's.
Let me just interrupt and say, Lindsay, you own some of her stuff, because I gave it to you as a gift after a con at some point. I think it was maybe the little Scrabble pieces with the
yes, yes.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, Sally's very good that way, and she's great to see whenever you're at a con. Then we've got Grinning Frog, which is Stephen. He is shamelessly a 4th edition D&D fan, but he writes. He loves 4th edition, but he's played all versions of D&D. But he writes generic content for fantasy RPGs. He does a magazine, and last year he did a special edition of that magazine for the convention, and he's doing another one this year as well, which we will be giving away to people. UFO Press, who have just merged with Ryan, Rook and Deckard. So they do post-apocalyptic stuff in the main, another range of RPGs, and yeah, so they're gifting us stuff as well. Rangers Decks, Scott, who's in Glasgow, he runs a Discord all about groups in Glasgow, and also writes random encounter decks, both in PDF and print, which is very useful. Then we've got Verve Studios, who are based in Wales. This is testing my memory, all this. Based in Wales, and they write a 5e setting, which is just.
I was clean shaven when we started.
Well, shush. and they've been great support as well. Wonder Draft and Dungeon Draft, so 2 more map making softwares. Wonder Draft about map making worlds. Dungeon Draft, by the name, it's about map making battle maps, and very good software for installing locally rather than a browser, if that's your preference. And then we have World Anvil, who are a big. Well, it's actually one of those tools where you could actually use it as an author. You wouldn't need to be into role-playing games. The tools that they have for writing structuring your campaign or your narrative, but they also have campaign management tool sets within it, primarily for 5e, I think. But it's the sort of thing you can actually have everything within there and just run your game straight from it.
Yeah, World Anvil's pretty awesome.
I'm taking a note here.
Of which one?
Yeah, World Anvil is a particularly good tool. It is the GM's everything.
It is.
Maps in it. You can put locations in it, NPCs in it, all the rest of it. I met one of the illustrious runners of it when she was picking up her Gold Any. 2 years ago, when I was also picking up a Gold Any, as was Lindsay, although she wasn't there. I had to pick up hers for her for the writing, where she was getting hers for, I think, was up tools or whatever it is. So not only is their tool ridiculously awesome, so was she. She's the best person ever.
Excellent.
So, small aside, best person ever.
That is a very long list.
It is. Yeah. I had to have a drink after that.
Well done, yeah. Well done for remembering all the details about them as well. There was a question that came in. Well, I can't, it's just too many comments now. I can't find it. That's it.
It's gone forever. Oh well. Well, why don't you scroll down while I quickly go over
was everyone wearing blue and teal tones of coordinated painting? It was a very nice aesthetic. No, it was
not. No, that was not planned.
I did see that Andy was wearing his nice teal jumper that I bought him. And and so I was like, well, I might wear my green dress. So to a certain extent, Andy and I were coordinated. It was just a happy accident that Dave also had a similar tone.
I'm wearing my happiness as a warm tone t-shirt. Yes. So yes, especially in winter.
Okay, so let's move on to what we're doing. We had a pretty big chat about this behind the scenes, actually, because we're in a bit of an odd position where we've got all manner of stuff ready to be released soon, but we have nothing actually released yet. We are just the name with a bunch of crows. And us chatting away like crazy every week, having a complete laugh on the internet, which, by the way, we do every single week, every single Saturday. We stream and we get industry professionals in and we chat about stuff we love.
And if you'd like to support us doing
look at that. It's almost like we prepared it. We didn't, but it's almost like we prepared it. We have a Patreon for us chatting away like crazy as well, if you happen to want to pop along. But we were in an odd position where we didn't actually have anything, but we were very keen to support because it's a local con. The charity is awesome. And it's just a nice thing to do when in this dark time, really. So we sat down and we beavered away and had a good look at all the stuff that we had written and thought, is there anything that we could pull out of this that we could use, or should we just create something to spec? And the first thought was that we create something to spec, and it being a Scottish con, things like haggis generators immediately came to mind.
Fabulous.
Because who doesn't want a haggis generator for those special haggis? And we considered going down the joke route and doing a nice little haggisy thing, but it didn't really fit our theme. Most of our products are on the slightly darker side because we're all, in terms of our writing, it's slightly more on the darker side. So we could have gone for a dark haggis, but no matter how dark you make your haggis, it's always going to look daft. I mean, it just is. So we had a good look through some of the stuff that we had already written that was going to be released potentially in the future. And one location jumped out at us because it just happened to be one that we were all loosely discussing around the periphery. And that was a location called the Well of Bones. Now, if anyone who watches our streams each week, you'll note that next month we've got a stream set up called The Well of Bones, because one of the fun things about us doing our streams is we don't just talk about the things that we've got coming like giant adverts. We actually discuss what we did. How did this actually come to pass? What did we do? Where were the difficulties? What was hard? What was easy? So if you happen to be writing, even just for yourself, or even if you're writing professionally for someone else, or if you're trying to illustrate something, or if you're desperately just wanting to know how it all works, we're there happily discussing about all the pitfalls that we happily jumped into, like this, as we were putting together something for a con. In this particular case, the Well of Bones is a location that can be added to any fantasy adventure. So if you happen to be playing Forbidden Lands, or if you happen to be playing D&D or Warhammer, or whatever it is that you happen to be using, we have the Well of Bones. Now, I won't spoil what it is, because that's less fun than reading it yourself. I will say that much like all of our products, the core intent is that it's adaptable by you to use in your setting as you see fit. And we try to provide you with enough interesting inspiration to apply that in a way that you like. So the NPCs have stats, but they're obviously generic stats. Oh, I said the swear word. They're system agnostic stats. They can be used on any game. They're not generic, because generic just makes them sound dull. But they are most certainly system agnostic. So you can use them in any game. We've got something similar for the sort of people that are there. I don't want to go into any further details, but there is a discussion about the people that are in the Well of Bones. There's a discussion as to what the Well of Bones actually is. Now, whether that is what it is for your game or not, again, is something to be decided. But for our neat presentation of it absolutely is that, and it's not good. Really not good. And we're offering this up as a freebie for everyone who comes to the con. You go to the con, you can have it. Happy birthday! Well, happy con day or whatever.
I mean, it may be your birthday, so even better.
This isn't content that we had planned to offer for free, so it's not like we've got a free thing that we're giving. We've created this pretty much to spec for the con. After the con, all of the Patreons that we have on our Patreon, obviously inside the Rookery Patreon, we'll send them over the same one, but it'll be after the con at the same time that we do the stream about how it was created. So that'll be a couple of weeks after. So the people who go to the con will get it for a good, it's somebody's birthday, yay! They'll get it for a good couple of weeks before everybody else. And that'll go for free out to all of our patrons as well, because you are all awesome and you rock. And then a little bit later, we'll repurpose it, rejig it a little bit, and we'll organize it to be an actual drive-through RPG release that can sit alongside all the rest of our RPG releases. I won't say how long it is, but it's not 5 pages. And it's a relatively sizable little thing that we're currently, what day are we on? The 22nd, eh? Yeah, we're currently working like bastards to put it into place. It may not end up being exactly everything we originally intended, because there isn't that many days left before it goes. And Mark, who does all the art, Mark Gibbons, if you know Mark Gibbons, who is, by the way, an artistic genius and a god, he's going away to be a pirate at the weekend at the end of the month. So Pirate Day is sitting there as this deadline. And absolutely no one would want to stop Mark being a pirate.
No.
So it may yet turn out to be an audiobook that I narrate.
When he just reads out.
Comes to the con.
Wherever we get it to by that date is what we will organize, and it's proving to be an awful lot of fun. It's all written, it's all in place, but because of the way we do our products, we don't do them the normal way that most writing houses do, where they write it and then they send it to the artists and layout to organize for the next stage. We don't do that because we're idiots. What we do is we write it and then we send it over for art, and Mark goes, "Hey, this is cool. Can I add this?" And we go, "Yeah, sure." And then we write more. Because Mark is, I don't know if you've looked at his art, he's just great. And he has such a vibrant imagination, as do we all. So it seems a shame that he doesn't get to impact the writing as much as the rest of the writing team do. So we have a bit of a circular creation process, which means that we always leave gaps in a couple of places so that they can be filled out, or alternatively just filled in with art according to what Mark himself is inspired by. If there's something that he really likes and he decides that he'd like to expand it a bit, he's got the space to do that within the setup that we've already organized. So that's what we're offering, the Well of Bones. I'll put 2 extra bits in there to make sure you've got it clear. That's 3, actually. It's for everyone. So speak to this gentleman down here, he'll organize you for that. That's 1. Go to the con. It's for charity. It's worth it. Do it. Bob Geldof, give us your bloody money. Seriously, it's for charity. So go and do the good thing. Sign up for games and play games that we all love and enjoy, because that's awesome. And you never know, if you all sign up, they might need to get a few more games. So if you'd like to run a game, I'm sure he'd love to listen to that as well. So that's number 1. Number 2, if you can't make the con and you are our patron, you'll still get it anyway. And we'll have that a couple of weeks afterwards. And the last one is, if you want to know how it was made, come to that stream, which I think is on the 9th. And the last one is, we also have David.
I thought you said there was 3. You've done it before.
As everybody knows, once I start, I just keep on going. It's a little bit like the Hitchhiker's Guide trilogy. The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy trilogy. As we all know, moved to 4 books. The week after we're doing, or 2 weeks after, I think it is actually. 2 weeks after we're doing the Well of Bones stream. We're doing a Clubs, Con and Comps stream with David, where he'll be able to come back and he's going to discuss running conventions, running clubs, running competitions in general, but also all the joy that he went through for the con that hopefully you're all going to.
Yes.
And he can hopefully give us a quick rundown of all the pitfalls that he, much like we are in the Well of Bones, falling into, the pitfalls that he's currently falling into on the run up to his con, and hopefully the execution, which will be flawless.
Absolutely.
I'm expecting some data, a spreadsheet, and I'm really looking for an infographic.
Well, I can certainly do a spreadsheet, because as as both the AlbaCon and Tabletop Scotland team know, I love a spreadsheet.
As do I.
I don't really love a spreadsheet, but yeah, I need a spreadsheet is probably the way of thinking it. But yes, absolutely. Looking forward to that chat.
Brilliant.
David spreadsheet, Dave. Thanks, Mark. Cheers, buddy.
I for the draw that we're going to be doing to see who gets their signed copy of this funky piece of thing.
Lindsay's funky piece of thing.
Sorry, Lindsay's funky thing. Andy Lease did a quick spreadsheet to sort out all the bits and pieces from Twitter to make it easier for me to extract all the details. Thanks, Andy, if you're out there. Massively appreciated, because it did speed things up significantly. I now have all the names sitting on a nice little randomizing thing, which I can just click and see who comes out.
Are we going to do the draw? So what is the lucky winner going to receive?
The lucky winner is going to see. Oh, I wish I was in a bikini now.
No.
No.
I mean, don't we all wish I was in a bikini right now so I could go?
No.
No. I mean, come on. Anyway, you can imagine it yourselves at home. The lucky winner gets a Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay starter set. We happen to have more than one of these in the household, because more than one of us worked on this one. This one was produced by me. I put the core of everything that needs to be in there. But let me just move this around so we don't get reflected screens all over. You see all the screens I've got everywhere on it. Over here? That's a little bit better.
They might see a spoiler. They might see a spoiler reflected in those screens.
Yeah, you're just going to see my ugly mug twice. It's going to be a mirror of an infinity of Andy's. Nobody needs that. Be glad there's no bikini.
So it says, can you share the screen when you do the draw?
Yeah, sure, probably.
I don't know. It might have people's personal information that they didn't want to be shared.
Yeah, good point, actually. what I'll do is because I actually took the randomizer that Flip Top suggested. They pointed me out towards a website, and it was much easier in the code that I had sitting on Excel. So I just pasted it into there, and it just does a random list of everybody and puts somebody as number 1 at the very top. So it also means that if the first person doesn't get back to me within a week, I can then go to number 2 and say, would you like it instead? So
can you share that screen? Can you share
what I'll do is I'll do a quick snapshot of that and I'll post it so that we all have it.
Was it random.org? I believe
it was random.org. Thank you. It was the best. Let me just get the nice snipping tool in place. And we'll get that one out. I'm also going to tweet them or Discord them live because I can. And we are live. And let's see if we actually get a response live on. I had to cut out Andy Leask, whose name somehow got into it 3 times.
That's just cheating, that is.
I made the list, so it wasn't even his fault. But clearly he'd retweeted it or something at some point, or something had popped up. And clearly his name at Andy Leask had been on a list of something else that had just got automatically extracted. But when I did the sort, I was like, hey, what the hell? I mean, Andy really wants this set, and he's got his own one. So anyway, yes, I produced it. I put it together. I wrote a big chunk of this. I did some maps for it. I did some illustrations for this. Lindsay did some additional writing through this as well, over some of the locations and some extra little details. Andy Leask, who's also going to sign it, wrote a significant chunk of the Ubersreich book, and something that he will repeatedly say, I'm very proud of, .com. And has indeed said that many times on Twitter. And he has right to be, because it's a great book. So here's our starter set. Will I press the button and see what happens? There's a button at the bottom here that I press again because I did one test, and that was the one that made me realize Andy Leask was on the list 3 times. I was like, what the frick? Right, so here we go. I didn't press the button. I pressed the go back. I'm an idiot. There we go. We have someone. Oh, it's it's the first name on it is on our Discord server, and is Zervinio. Okay, so whoever Zervinio is about to get a ping. So let me go over here and go to ITR. I'm going over to this place right now. I don't remember speaking to Zervinio, so this is going to be fun. At Zervinio. They're not online just now.
Oh.
That's a shame. Of one.
Well,
starter.
You never know. They might actually be online. And just
you know, it's so true.
Online.
So I'm busy typing this right now. You'll hear my keys clacking in the background. Do you have on a starter set? Contact me within a week to claim it. And if they contact before we switch off, I may
if you're not online in 5 seconds, you draw.
How awesome is that? So that's Zervinio. I'm going to press Zervinio. Do I remember a chat with Zervinio? I don't. Let's see. So they're on the Rat Catchers Guild as well. So one presumes that they're Warhammer players, and that they like their Warhammer. Well, I hope they like their Warhammer because they're about to get themselves a starter set. How marvelous is that? So if you are out there, Zervinio, presumably Zervinio, yeah, presuming I'm pronouncing your name correctly. Get in contact. Does anybody actually want to know who came second and third and fourth?
No.
Or do we not? No. Or do we not do that? Because that's just cruel.
That's just cruel.
It's cruel, and it would be a very nice surprise if
I am going to call out one person because I know this.
No,
one person because I know this person who came in 9th. It was you, Soon.
Oh.
So you might win soon, but not today. You were 9th on the list of. Well, actually, that's a really big list. Oh, wow. Guess who came in 141st? Rookery P. I didn't remove. Oh, Critical Role is 140. How random. Huh. They must have been on one of the retweets at some point. How cool is that? So there you go. We have ourselves a winner. Thank you very much for everybody who took part in that and our little giveaway. We might do another giveaway of some sort at some later date, so do watch these spaces, because one of the joys of working inside the industry is that we often have a spare copy or two of things that we worked on. I often work for multiple copies because I generally have one for myself, one that goes on the shelf, and one that I send off to others. And in this case, I definitely do have a spare copy of, say, the Masks of Nyarlathotep. And that's a really, really big box set. So I might be doing one of those later. My only trepidation about popping that up as a potential prize is it will cost me at least 3 mortgages to post it.
Yes.
Because shipping just now is an absolute nightmare. This is where Zervinio is in New Zealand and I start to cry. So there we go. That's our starter set draw. Thanks very much, everyone. And the normal things at the end of our little Beside the Rookeries. If you enjoy our streams, then do please pop over to our Patreon and support us. We stream every week, every single Saturday. We will have people like this fine gentleman down here pulling apart cons and why they're awesome, stroke why they suck. Because they are both.
Yes. The video has just replied to your message, by the way.
Pardon?
The video has just replied to your message.
Oh, marvelous! Oh, how exciting! That's incredible. Thank you so much. Tune in. Well, maybe we can get them online. Twitch, because if we can open it on. Let me get the Twitch. Oh, this is super exciting. I am such a child.
I shouldn't have mentioned that. Sorry, Lindsay.
Yeah, thanks, Dave.
The show's never going to end.
3 days later. Anvil just have auctioned off our whole house. Joy of people winning.
Oh dear.
They used to. I love that Andy is just an absolute wildling of energy. What did they used to call you when you very first started working in Games Workshop Edinburgh?
They called me a squig. Because I just bounced around everywhere, going blah, 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 being very excited about everything.
At the mouth over the latest release.
Yeah, because I was such a fanboy. So let's see if say hi, Zervasio. Did I spell it right? If I said spell it wrong, that's embarrassing.
Zervinio.
I spelled it wrong. Oh no, I'm an idiot. Hang head in shame. So Zervinio, if you are out there, if you can reach Twitch, gonna log in ASAP. I need to get off work. Oh, he's probably gonna miss it. Never mind. Yeah, so congratulations, Zervinio. That's just awesome. I was in the middle of my excited spiel about Patreon. You should all back our Patreons because it only costs £1. Obviously, we've got other things that you can spend more money on if you would like to back us more, and you're awesome and you can afford it. But if you can't, that's cool. Just even £1 or even just sharing our Patreon if you can't afford £1 is awesome. Nice. Because even that makes a difference to us, because every £1 means that we can do things like buying things like the streaming software that we've actually paid for ourselves, and all the other paraphernalia that comes along with this stuff. So the link is somewhere, which I presume Lindsay can throw up. Yep, if you back before the 19th of next month, there is an early bird awesome emoji designed by Mark Gibbons that you will get exclusive access to as a Patreon, which means you're the only one that can click it down to react on Discord. Anyone can click on your link if you should put it down and add extra +1s, but you're the only ones that can drop it down. That's only to our patrons from the 19th, I think, of this month is the cutoff date for that. If you want to see more about it, pop over to our Patreon. We've got a blog post from Mark Gibbons where he has a lovely chat about putting together all of those emojis, and it's a fascinating little read. So you can see basically him whittling away through iterative designs of how he got to his current mix for the first set of emojis we've got on the Discord. So there you go.
Thank you very much.
I have squigged.
Thank you, Andy. And thanks, Dave, for coming on and going through that immense list, which I didn't expect to be so long when Andy asked you. But that is just testament to the RPG industry, actually.
It is.
All of those
it really is, isn't it? It's awesome.
Donated. Yeah. I think that's just so lovely. So good luck with the con.
Thank you.
We'll see you definitely after. We may see you before then. Who knows? Through the vagaries of shared spaces. Until next Saturday, thank you all for watching Beside the Rookery.
Thanks, everyone.
See you on Saturday for Inside the Rookery. If you hang around for
who's on the inside this week? It's Matt, isn't it? Matt Forbeck.
Matt Forbeck, yeah. 2 seconds.
Oh, it's going to be a good one.
Finish, yeah. You will see who's on at the weekend, which is Matt.
Matt is brilliant, by the way. You don't want to miss this Saturday.
He's a lovely man. And one of my RPGs on my shelf that is one of the oldest RPGs I own was written by him pre-Savage Worlds, called Brave New World.
Good old Brave New World.
And he keeps saying he's going to do a second edition and he hasn't yet. So that'll be a question I'll be submitting, I think.
I approve.
Feel free to do so. Thanks, everyone. Have a good evening.
See you all.
Bye.
Bye.
Morning, afternoon, or night, wherever you are.